go. Hello, everybody. Thank you for giving me this chance to talk about something that I study every day, as I told you a couple months ago, much to my papa's chagrin probably, but he's no longer with us, so I'm free to do what I want. And I was forced to by Netflix destroying my last business, the media industry, so now we're on to something that probably can't be destroyed by the internet. So today I'm going to kind of cover the issues around legalization, where it's happening and when, as regards cannabis, of course. Which product categories are driving the growth? My company, BDS Analytics, tracks the product through point-of-sale tracking in stores. So that's why I joined them. Having data, if you're an analyst, beautiful thing. And then finally, we also do consumer research. So I want to look at the cannabis consumers and some of the things we're finding in our surveys of them as to what they think and what they consume. And this, of course, famous quote here from Edward Denning: "Without data, you're just another person with an opinion." And of course, I've always been a person with an opinion, but it's lovely to have BDS's data behind me in this new role. So it's happening everywhere, finally. 80 years of prohibition started with the Marijuana Tax Act in 1938, spread across the world through the Single Convention on Narcotics Drugs that the U.S. crammed down the UN's throat in 1961. If you wanted to play the Pax Americana, you had to ban cannabis. And so it's slowly spreading. A couple of critical moments are going to be Canada going legal, completely adult. Well, first of all, California in 1996 kicked it off with medical legalization. Now Canada's going fully adult legal this month, or not next month, October 17th. So that'll be the big test, a big G7 country. Uruguay beat them to it, but it's Uruguay. So in the U.S., here's the board pattern to date. As you can see, large swaths of the South have not moved at all, or they might be allowing CBDs. That's kind of the new buzzword in the industry, is the non-psychoactive cannabinoid, which is called CBD. And the Farm Act theoretically makes them legal in many states where cannabis and THC are not. But the black states are the ones that are going adult legal as of the end of last year, and the purple ones are the gray ones are the medical states. So it's really been all about medical to date. And I'm kind of breaking concepts in the industry as I go around talking about this trend. California legalized adult use for the first time this year. They regulated the medical market out of existence by requiring you to actually register with the state, and who among cannabis users is going to do that? So the market in California is shrinking, and then moving on the adult use side means that it's all about adult use from here. It's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. That's based upon this kind of tracking we see from BDS's point-of-sale data, where in Colorado and Oregon, when they went adult use, the medical markets that had been growing went completely flat. And the adult use markets took off. So Colorado, for example, was a $300 million medical market, now $1.8 billion, all told, most of that adult. So which product categories are driving that growth? And that's what we find out through our tracking at BDS Analytics. So I'm wondering, who would have predicted that joint smoking would go down with legalization? Anybody? Well, guess what? It did. It has in Colorado at any rate, where flower had been 70% of the market on day one of the adult use market, now down to 45% of the market as it's squeezed out by consumer products, essentially. You know, a bag of weed is not much of a consumer product in America today, but concentrates in vape pens and edibles in nice packaging with brand names around it is a consumer product. So that's what's happening, is that these are the relative sizes of Colorado, California, and Oregon, and their relative mixes, as you can see in all of them. Flowers shrunk. In California in particular, where the price went through the roof with taxes and regulation, and therefore everybody knows where to get flour, of course, so they're coming into stores for concentrates and edibles, but glad to get their flour on the streets. So it's shrinking dramatically as a piece of the market. So within concentrates, which are the fastest growing category, you'll see vape devices, now 87% of the market in California, as people embrace this idea that you can very discreetly consume cannabis, still through your lungs though, but by vaping it, which is theoretically less harmful than smoking it. I mean, pretty clearly, in fact. So on the other hand, on the edible side, here's what's happening. Candy and chocolates are the dominating categories of edibles. The brownie is pretty much shot. It was a college thing, many of you remember, I'm sure. But lots of interesting categories developing. Pills. People want the effect, and pills are easy to take. And other infused foods and other categories are gaining a piece of it. Interestingly, with Constellation, the owner of the Corona brand, and Coca-Cola, most recently in the last 2 weeks, expressing their interest in this business. Why? Beverages are 1% of the business at this point, but they're thinking ahead to what they've done with fancy waters and all the other products that are beverages at this point, which they're thinking it would be a bigger piece of the market in the future. So that's the kind of brand power that's coming to the business, but it's already here in terms of their ideas, and methods being stolen by 25,000 products in Colorado. 1,000 plus brands are selling branded cannabis products in Colorado, and they now have 38% of the market, as you see here. Actually, if you include the store brands, it's down to, it's even a bigger piece of it than that. So the cannabis consumer is everybody. It turns out about a quarter of people consume it, not everybody, but all types of people, shall I say. And they're doing it with watching movies and snacking and while they're exercising. In fact, those nutty Coloradans, of course, are exercise nuts. And they're consuming it with craft beer and their cocktails and wine. It's basically becoming pretty ubiquitous in the lifestyle of adult consumers where it's legal. And here's what they're thinking. They have therefore decreased their prescription drug use generally, their OTC medication use largely, and basically 40% of people say it has a role in their general personal care and wellness. So that's where we think it goes from here. Concentrates actually catch up to flower as a component of the market, and edibles become much bigger, and it becomes just a part of the consumer products landscape from here. So that's what's happening in cannabis. Thank you.
The can open, please.
Oh.
Sorry. Well, I have to say I thought the topic was really interesting. So when I saw the title and when you got up, I thought it was a very appropriate topic, a very interesting topic, and I think it took a lot of courage, not about the topic, but to not use notes. So I guess the term I'm looking for is moxie. That was one of the first things I think that you excelled at. You were not behind the lectern, you got up and you were not using notes, you were able to use the slides, and also it was obvious that you know a lot about this topic, so it's probably natural for you to be able to talk about it and without any notes, and to talk deeply, and to use and to really get into the data and explain things in a very understandable way. One thing I did notice was that you did maintain eye contact with the audience, but you did look at the screen a little bit. And so I think that's one area that you can work on, is to maintain more eye contact and less eye contact with the screen. Speaking of the screen, I thought the slides were very good. And I see a lot of slides in my line of work. Believe it or not, and the military is crazy how much PowerPoint, I guess it's everywhere. PowerPoint is probably overused. But I will say that, people always use slides and they're like, forgive me, don't read this slide, or, it's too much data up here, and they making excuses. Your slides were on point. You looked at the slide, you didn't have a lot of words to distract you from what you were saying. And I personally thought that the data, that the charts and the graphs were accurately labeled, and they were such that I didn't have to search to see what you were meaning, and what you were saying actually went along right with the chart. So I felt that it was just perfect. I think you could give a class or a speech just on chartology, as we like to say, or slideology. So I was really, really impressed with that, and thank you for educating us on this topic. That's all.
Very good.